Act reforms. Clearly, they're saying the extension that you've granted them in regards to the consultation is not enough. If a decision is made at the Harbour Castle Inn tomorrow or today that they want more time, will you accept that recommendation, extend the time for consultation beyond what you have done now?
Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. Certainly, I am very pleased to report to the House that with the very significant involvement of my colleague, the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, we were able to come to an agreement with our First Nation partners to extend the consultation period to January the 15th of 2009, and we do think, Mr. Speaker, that it is vital to take greater time to build a greater level of support among First Nations so we can bring forward better legislation. And, Mr. Speaker, it's important, I think, to note that we have some strong support from very significant First Nation leaders. Let me read a quote. The Ontario government's decision to extend consultations on the Mining Act in order to properly consult with First Nations is further evidence that the government understands the importance of improving relationships with First Nations in Ontario, said Ontario Regional Chief Angus Chalouse, Chiefs of Ontario. The understanding and respect that today's decision clearly shows will result in a better future, not only for First Nations, but for Ontario as a whole. So, Mr. Speaker, very significant support.
Supplementary.
Minister, the only place that the First Nations are in agreement with you is that they want the Mining Act change and they want revenue sharing, clearly. And that's what Chief Angus Toulouse and others are telling you. The problem is that, let me explain the geography to you. These are landlocked communities. These are communities that have no road access. These are communities that have very poor infrastructure, and they need the time to do the consultation with the people within the communities in order to give you the green light to go ahead with whatever changes are made. You can't do that by the 15th of January. If you're trying to get from Attawapiskat to Fort Severn, you got to come back down to Timmins, go to Thunder Bay, and fly back up again. So I'm going to ask you the question. If they come forward today with a recommendation to extend the deadline beyond January 15th, will you accept the recommendation and do what's right by First Nations of this province?
Mr. Speaker, thank you again, but the fact is indeed that we have come to an agreement with First Nations on the January 15 consultation period, and indeed we did extend the consultation period to November the 12th, entered into discussions. Again, my colleague, the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, was very involved in these discussions to extend the deadline, and we are receiving significant support for this. I want to read another quote, if I may, from Association of Iroquois and Allied Indians Grand Chief Randall Phillips. I am supportive of the recent action taken by Ministers Duguid and Gravel and the Ontario government to ensure that a more collaborative approach is used to address First Nation concerns regarding the proposed revisions to the Mining Act. Although it's not a perfect process, we'll acknowledge that, Mr. Speaker, this opportunity to develop a better working relationship with the Ontario government on issues that directly affect First Nation communities is a step in the right direction. Mr. Speaker, we're very pleased with the work that's been done. I'm very grateful to my colleague for the help and the consultation. We're pleased to extend the consultation period.